not actually on my schedule of content for this month, but I am in the mood to reorganize and unhaul, and that's what we're gonna do today. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Bree and this is 4 Paws in a Book. I am in the mood today to reorganize, to clear things out, to yeet some books out of here, and I figured I'm gonna just take you along with me. So we're gonna have an unhaul, we're gonna have some reorganization. So I have some short shelves over here and they're just completely random. I have my contemporaries and my hardcover romances, a shelf of thrillers, and then a random shelf of essay chockerboardy. I don't know what's going on here, but we need to adjust that. I also want to make another shelf of my special editions for fantasy and fantasy romance because this isn't all of them here, but it's like completely full because I definitely want to front face House of Bane and Blood. So I need to do another shelf. And so what I'm thinking is that I'm gonna take this shelf here that is a Dark Academia because I don't need an entire large shelf for Dark Academia books, and it also doesn't make a lot of sense because there are some here that are more contemporary and some that are fantasy. I also really want to unhaul some books. I have 44 books that are still on my TBR from 2022. And as I've said in the past, my reading taste typically kind of evolve about every 2 years. So I really want to take a hard look at those 44 books specifically, and if I'm not in the mood for them, if I don't think that I'm going to pick them up in the near future, or if I'm just not interested in them anymore, I'm gonna let them go. We're closing in on the end of the year and my goal was to keep my physical TBR under 200. Right now I'm in the 240s, and so I need to make a dent in that if I'm going to meet my goal at the end of December. So I think what I want to do is kind of take you shelf by shelf and we'll unhaul together, and I'll kind of point out the books that have been on that list for a while, and if I still want to get rid of them or not, I don't know. We're just gonna do a good culling. I also will probably look at some of the books that I have already read. I just want to start making some more space. This is starting to get a little bit cluttered, a little bit unorganized. You're very far back so that you can see this top shelf here. I'm short. I don't know if you've noticed this about me. This is the Dark Academia shelf up here, and I think that I'm gonna just take all of these down. I'm gonna separate them into what is fantasy and what is contemporary, figure out what I want to keep, and then go from there. And I think this one will be the other special edition fantasy shelf because then we have one here and one here.
Yeah. I'm looking at a face I don't recognize today myself. Don't know what to say, things ain't the same. I felt that we lost our way, the street is two ways.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the books that I'm keeping and which ones I'm going to be getting rid of. So of the contemporaries, I'm going to keep My Dark Vanessa. This was one of my favorite books of 2020. Like, I don't know that I'll ever reread it. It's such a like dark book. Like, I just have very strong emotions attached to this. And then I'm also going to be keeping Corinne by Rebecca Morrow. I annotated this and I did an entire video trying to dissect who this author was because it's a pen name. I'll leave it up here if you were interested in it. It's a little bit of an old video, but like I said, I just have like strong emotional attachment to the book, even though I only rated it 3.5 stars. And then for fantasy, I'm gonna keep Curious Tides for a little while. This is a YA, but I think I'm still gonna like it. Murder Your Employer. This I actually like just got over the summer, and it looks cool. I don't know. It sounds like a kind of Sherlock Holmes-esque. And then An Education in Malice was a 5-star read for me. I definitely want to keep this one. I'm going to keep the paperbacks of Ninth House and Hellbent. So this is the original Ninth House, and like this one's annotated. I physically read this one, and then the special editions that have the sprayed edges. But I think I'm going to get rid of the hardcover of Hellbent because like I don't have the hardcover of Ninth House, and there's no reason for me to have 3 copies of like a series. I don't need that. I'm definitely gonna be keeping Vicious and Vengeful. These are both signed. This is one of the very first books I ever annotated, and I got to meet V. Schwab at I just almost said a Polycon. BookCon? Is that whatever that one is in New York that doesn't exist anymore? And then I'm gonna keep a Dowry of Blood. This is a favorite of mine. And then I'm going to keep the Coven because I just got it. It's a special edition though, so it might go back up there. I don't know. So I'm gonna be getting rid of Ace of Spades. I read this a couple of years ago, but I don't need it. I'm gonna get rid of The Cloisters by Katie Hayes. I've had the opportunity to read this multiple times and I just never have or never really wanted to. It's on a self-destruct list for this year anyways, so I would have had to read it in the next month, and I just don't see that happening. And then also The Favorites by Rosemary Hennigan. This is like another like Dark Academia teacher relationship kind of thing. That's just not me right now. I don't care. So it'll never be one that gets picked up. And then I'm also gonna get rid of Evocation. I started reading this. I read like probably half of it for Boozy Book Club, and then we didn't finish it, and I never wanted to go back to it. And then now that a bunch of other reviews are coming out, it just feels so different than A Dowry of Blood, and I was just like kind of forcing myself to love it because of who it is. I don't want to read it. I don't want to finish it. Okay, you're placed very precariously, so if you're crooked, it's my fault. Fantasy romance shelf. I don't want to get rid of anything here. I've either read them or they're high on my priority list. This has been just like hardcover fantasies, but they don't match anything. I think I'm gonna unhaul this. I've kept it because it was one of the first Illumicrate boxes that I got, but like it quite literally says Voyage in the name. This is gonna be like an adventure story, a quest story, a journey story, and that's never like my thing. Also, this is not that special because the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition also has the sprayed edges. So that makes me a little bit sad, not gonna lie. I am struggling because I don't know how to break this up. And it could be that my brain is just like really misfiring today, so I just can't I can't think straight. Let's talk about books. Final Strife is on that list of 44, but I want to read it, so I'm gonna keep this one. I don't know that I'll get to it by the end of the year. We'll see though. I don't want to say it's a problem, but the struggle that we have as bookish content creators is that we're trying to create content that tends to hinge around new releases for the most part. That's just the content that gets pushed. That's the content that publishers want to see. However, I read about 200-ish books a year, and obviously there are more than 200 books that get published. And so I get excited about a book, I bring in books, and then like 2 years go by, and you're like, I still want to read it, but I'm reading this other stuff for content. So obviously it's a little bit early to talk about goals for 2025, but I definitely want to balance that out a little bit more next year, where I'm doing some stuff that is like new release for content, but also prioritizing like just books that I want to read, even though there may not be a video about it. Everything else that's here, I definitely want to keep. Okay, here we go. Let's talk. City of Stardust. Am I going to read this? Am I really going to read this? I don't think I will. It's a contemporary fantasy. I think I'm going to unhaul this one because I've never just been like drawn. I want to like it, but I've only heard mid reviews about it. I'm never gravitating towards it. So let's just unhaul it. If I ever like decide I do want to actually read it, I can pick it up at the library or get an audiobook or something like that. I have to start being like smart about what shelf trophies are up here. Everything else though I do want to keep. The Poppy War trilogy, obviously I love these books. I will read Babel. Okay, I'm gonna read it. May not happen in 2024, but I am going to read this. I promise. And then, yes, I have 2 copies of Swordcatcher. Don't care. Keeping them both. Okay, and then the Mark Lawrence books. I have not started that series. I have heard mixed things about it, but I feel like it's going to be a Brie book. I don't know, though. It will be kind of my last chance for Mark Lawrence. Love him as a person. I've DNF'd 2 of his books. So I don't know if his writing style is for me, but we're going to try it. Then my J. Tall Squall books. My second one is still over there. But these were both gifted to me by the author, and so I'm definitely not getting rid of them. And they're like stunning. The covers are gorgeous. But my Promise of the Betrayer's Dagger is in my TBR basket because I'm still reading it.
Oh, you're sorry. You dragged me through hell. If this was real, can you tell me what you felt? Cause it feels like it's over now.
I have my S.A. Chakraborty books over on another shelf for some reason. I don't know what my brain was thinking then, but I want to be able to put them back onto the fantasy. Now, my David Bat trilogy is in paperback, but my Adventures of Amin al-Sarafi is in hardcover. So I think I'll put that one up here. I'm kind of gonna make a hardcover and a paperback like shelf. I think that makes the most sense. No, I don't do anything by authors. I do it by like size and aesthetics, which is probably scary to most people. But I know the general area of where my books are, so I don't alphabetize my books.
Much pressure.
Okay, why, publishers? Why do you have to do this where the books are not the same size? Like, these are hardcover books. Why aren't they the same size?
There's just too much. I never thought that this would hit me so quick and hard. I never thought I'd live, I never thought I'd miss your heart. But this turned to shit.
I'm gonna move around a little bit. I'm actually gonna do all of the romance together and really look at those, decide what I want to keep, what I want to get rid of, and that's gonna span like this, all of this, and then like literally I have so much romance and I'm not reading it right now. So what's the problem here? Not all of it I think I'm gonna get rid of, but I think I actually might move some to another bookshelf or downstairs. Like I don't want to get rid of all of them, like especially the series. Obviously we're not getting rid of any Talia Hibbert, we're not getting rid of any Olivia Dade, that's not happening, or Alexandra Belfiore, Ruby Barrett I'm keeping. I don't want to get rid of these because I do enjoy them and they're fun football romances and they might be something that I consider rereading, like, you know, either right after the Super Bowl because I'm in a, you know, football withdrawal, or right at the beginning of the season when I'm really excited. But I don't want to, like, first off, because of the different color spines, they're not even all together. So I think I'm going to put them downstairs or in my other room on the shelf. Do you remember when I said I know where my books are? I don't. Ah, found it. I forgot this one was blue. So, cause like look at, I mean, they're all different. Like they started out, the first two are black and white. They're not the same. So, yeah, I'm just gonna put them in another shelf. I think I'm gonna unhaul. Thank you for listening. I did read this, but it was like 3.5 stars and I'm not gonna reread it. So I don't need to keep it on my shelf. I think I'm gonna get rid of this one, Girl Abroad. I got this in a blind date with a book and I was gonna do a whole video on it. I didn't film anything after the intro of like finding blind date with a book. The ebook's on Kindle Unlimited, I think, if I decide to, but it's not a book that I'm gonna gravitate towards. I'm gonna get rid of Read Between the Lines. I read this last year, I think, and I enjoyed this one, but I hated the sequel to it, and I already unhauled that one, and so there's no reason to keep this as well. Those are new. I'm keeping Wildfire because I still want to read that, even though that's another series where like they don't match. Definitely keeping Charm Offensive. I love that one. I think I'm gonna get rid of The Dead Romantics. I did read this one. I enjoyed it, but I definitely like 7 Year Slip more, and I'm not gonna reread this. Loved both of those. Loved that one. These are still relatively new. Love this one. Gonna keep 7 Year Slip. This is another one where like they don't match. I have all 3 of them, but they're all different colors. Maybe I put this one. Maybe I like think about doing another like romance series shelf. And based on what I have available, because there's this one. So these 3, and actually this is the only one that was a 5-star read. These ones are both like 3.5. Maybe I just get rid of these because these ones are both like 3.5. This is the only one I loved, and all of these are on Hoopla, I think, if I ever wanted to reread them, but I don't know that I would. I just talked myself into unhauling. Loved Part of Your World, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of Life's Too Short. I got this one at Steamy Lit. It was like in the swag bag, but I'm pretty sure that there are some triggers in here that I will not be okay with. And Abby Jimenez is not like a favorite author of mine to the point where like I will struggle through my triggers to read her books. Obviously keeping it Danny, and I think now that I've made some room, I might put her back forward. I'm gonna keep the Dating Playbook. I haven't read that one, but I'm still interested in it. My Alexandra Belfiore series, which if I end up making a series shelf, I'll move them. However, it does make a really nice transition because it's like got orange and pink into the purple, so it makes a good transition. This one I would be tempted to get rid of. I've only like sort of kind of liked her books in the past, but I've heard good things about this one, so I'm gonna keep it for now, but you may not see this by the end of the year. I loved The Friendship Study. I bought it after I read it. Fly With Me, I definitely want it to keep, and then Daydream is brand new. Look at this, I have so much more room now. Now let's move to the next romance shelf. All right, moving on. Let's do this. Okay. I loved Forget Me Not. This one I haven't read yet, but it's sapphic and I am still interested in it. So it'll probably not be read until next summer. I should have read it this summer, but I didn't. You know, I think I'm gonna get rid of What You're Gonna Do. I was going to read it this month for October and like spooky, but like, I don't know, witchy rom-coms, just I wasn't feeling it. I'm gonna keep Taste Like Shakar. I enjoyed her other books, but it's like, it hasn't been one that I have absolutely loved. However, it's a very green cover, so I could add it to my rainbow project. Obviously keeping Spoiler Alert. That's another one of the series, like they don't match. Meryl Wilsner, definitely. Mia Sosa, definitely. The other Olivia Dade. This one I have not read yet, but I'm giving Denise one more chance. Intimacy Experiment. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna read this one, so we're gonna unhaul it. This one actually needs to go onto my TBR 2.0 cart. Done and dusted. I am gonna keep for now. I didn't love this book, but it is something that like I want to continue the series, so because the covers are really cute too. Obviously Talia. I liked Icebreaker. I just got Simple Wild recently. It was a gift from Brittany. So I want to keep this one. Queen of Hearts. Oh, I read this one and I really did like it, but it's taken me 2 years to now read the other one from this author. Oops. Oh well. So I think I'm just gonna unhaul this one too. This is new and from Olivia. Obviously Talia. Then Hook, Line, and Seeker and A Half One Summer. I like those, so I'm gonna keep it. The other Alexandra Belfiore. Fastest Way to Fall is the Denise Williams that I liked. This is new. This I was keeping because I was gonna do a cowboy romance vlog, and I just got it at Goodwill or something like that. I don't know if anybody would watch that because I've never even heard of this book before. I really did like American Love Story, but I don't think I'm gonna reread it, and yeah, I'm gonna get rid of it. Mafia Romance. I'm gonna keep this one for now. This one sounds interesting. Oops, I have a bookmark in there. And then again, Talia Hibbert. Obviously not getting rid of that. Okay, so we have lots of room over here. Okay, so these shelves here have been my romance series that like obviously don't go in the rainbow, otherwise they wouldn't be together. And a lot of these have like different sizes too. So I was like, oh, I'll just put them on the bottom so they won't like matter. Which is probably not a great way to do that, but that's how we got here. I think what my goal is to kind of fill this up a little bit more with something, I don't know, some of the series. And then I have the Christina Lauren romances that are in hardcover are in another shelf. They're like with my contemporaries, and so I could put them over here on this taller shelf, and so then at least my romance is all together. All of this honestly is Sierra Simone, Emily McIntyre, Katie Robert. That's basically all it is. These are so tightly in there. So like I have both copies of Priest. I wonder if I put one of them up here, because it's like, this is the black section, so that would be next anyways. It would look okay. I'm like overthinking stuff, but I think I'll put the discreet covers up here. Okay, needed to get off my knees. Oh, also my Evie Mitchell books are up here. These are like my not safe for work books. The covers are very explicit, and they've just been sitting back there. Maybe I put my Emily McIntyre ones up here also. That should have enough room. Alright, so now this can just be Sierra Simone and Katie Robert. And I have these my football romances here, but they don't have to be there for right now. So we're going to put her novellas here first. Or actually, you know what I'm going to do? Is I'm going to move this one up here. I wonder if I could put it out. It's so pretty. I don't know if I'll have enough room to put it out. I'm rethinking everything. Hold on. Hold on. Aesthetics. Aesthetics. Keeping to themselves. I know you're sorry. You drug me through hell. And I'm willing to make room because of the Desperate Measures I got my special edition of, but it's still on my haul card, so I don't want to put it up here yet. I just have to remember that it's there. Okay. So that gives us some space. And then I'm going to put the Evie Mitchell books up here. I really can't show you without otherwise I will not be monetized. Moving down a little bit more to the next shelf. These ones are so random. Like so random. But I don't think I need all of them up here. These I'm going to go and put downstairs. I'm not going to keep them up here, but I don't want to get rid of them. I do really like these books. My book, everything's just falling. But I don't need to keep them up here. I need to keep them. I just don't want to keep them up here. These, however, I don't think I'm going to keep because I haven't finished the third one and I have no desire to. And so why do I have them on my shelves? I did this video 2 years ago for the Goodreads Choice Awards. I think I'm going to get rid of this one. I haven't read it yet, but it's just not something that's calling to me. It's also like a 4 or 5 book series that is all on KU, so I don't even need to keep them. Yeah. And like every book that I've read from her has been 3.5 stars. Keeping the Mariana Zapata because they are A, the old covers, and B, I still want to read her books. I don't know when because they're so big. That's the other thing about content and books is that like these are extremely chunky books, and on my channel I do a lot of readathons, and those, you know, like the big chunky books are not sustainable for something like that, for the most part anyways, and so I have to be really picky and choosy about which ones, like which big books I am reading in the interims, because I really like big books, but like I just don't ever have time to prioritize them. I'm gonna get rid of this. I thought I was gonna love this series. It's a gymnast romance, and I was a gymnast as a kid, and so I like always try to find gymnastics romances because it's not something you see very often, but I read some reviews for this and it's problematic AF, where it's like the gymnast and the coach, which is like already a weird power dynamic, but then also I'm pretty sure she's a minor for part of it, and I just nope. I'm gonna nope right out of that. I think I'm also gonna get rid of the deal. This is also an old cover, but this is like I've had it for several years. I think I was going to use it for a TikTok video. Like I was gonna read books like TikTok or something like that. I don't know, because it's kind of like book talk made me do it. College romances though, like college contemporary romance. It's not gay. There's nothing there for me. This one I got at a Polycon. I won it, and so I'm gonna keep this one right now. This one I've already read, but it's, but I think should I get rid of the other copy of this and just keep this one? Because I have these. So maybe I'll get rid of these ones. I might get rid of these and just keep this one. I didn't love these books enough to have 2 copies. I'm gonna keep these 2 together. I thought about putting them up on this top shelf and like splitting them up, but they're just so cute and they look good together. I'm just kind of stacking these right now because I don't know which area I want to put them in. And then this is where I'll end up putting my football romances. Listen, crime, okay? This is a crime. This is the only one I got on Amazon. I got it on Prime Day. And I was like, I put it on the shelf and I was like, oh no, they're not the right ones. So I may look and see if I can find the old cover on Pango or something. Because honestly, they don't match. I grabbed my romances, but also the lit fic books that were over there, because I think I'm probably going to be getting rid of a lot of those too. Taylor Jenkins Reid gets to stay. Obviously Evelyn Hugo is up on a favorite shelf, but she can stay. I think I'm going to get rid of this one. I liked this one last year. I really did enjoy it, but it's also like, it's not really fantasy and it's not really contemporary and it's not really historical. So like, I don't know, there's just not space for it. I'm gonna go ahead and add these 2 that were in my other stack. I'm gonna get rid of Winterland, another gymnastics book. I read this, I read about half of it during Amazing Readathon, and then just decided I didn't want to come back to it. It's fine, but it's just not a book that like I'm dying to get back to. But it was good. Like if you are a historical fiction, like I guess it's the 70s and 80s, so I guess it's historical. I'm gonna keep this one. Obviously gonna keep Yellowface. Even though it's not a romance. I'm gonna get rid of Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. This was a 3-star read, and it's also, I think, the only Frederick Bachman that I still have on my shelves. I'm gonna keep this for now. I was a baby booktuber when I read this. I read this in 2018, but I still vividly remember it. This is that other Kimmery Martin book, and I don't think I want to read it. Also, it's a pandemic book, and I don't know if I need to read that. My Christina Lauren books. So, look at that. It fits perfectly. I probably could get one more in there if I really wanted to. And now that cleared up 2 of my box shelves over there. Okay, you're in a weird angle. Well, I have 2 fantasy shelves and then my short fantasy romance shelf here, which I don't really want to leave here. And that is because it looks funny because this bottom shelf is so much taller. So I think I'll maybe move the fantasy romance up here. Listen, we're just going off of vibes at this point, but I need to get my David Bed trilogy in here somewhere. And then there's also like random fantasy books on these bottom shelves, like the ones that don't match or don't fit somewhere else. So I'd like to be able to move those around if possible. This is new. I'm gonna keep that one for now. This I'm gonna keep. This was a 5-star read last year, and the cover's gorgeous. I'm gonna keep that one. This one's not new. I've had this one for a long time, but I've heard good things about it, and so I'm going. That one's on my 44 books, whatever it is. So I should try to read it before the end of the year. I'm gonna get rid of this one. I read this one for my Loki vlog. It was 3.5 stars. It was good, but I'm not gonna reread it. It's not a book that I'll keep for recommendations or anything like that. Same with this. I think I'm gonna get rid of this one. It was good, but it was definitely more on the historical side of things, and so I'm not eager to pick up the second book in the series, and I don't own it. I'm going to keep River Enchanted for now. This is the only book that I know of that will fit the hard mode for the Bard's prompt. I'm torn on this one. I read this one, I gave it 4 stars, but even when the second book in paperback was on the BOGO table at Barnes & Noble, I didn't want to pick it up. And honestly, I don't remember a lot of this book, and so would I need to reread it to remember and to be able to read the second book, which I know I'm not going to do. Okay, I'm going to unhaul it. I'm going to keep To Shape of Dragon's Breath. I'm keeping these for now, but I did get the special edition of Fireborn, so I'm going to swap them out as they come out, but they're coming out 1 month at a time. This is actually a fantasy romance, so I might move that one. But I got this one at a Polycon. And then this also needs to go on my indie shelf. I don't know why it's over here. But I think I'm gonna put the David Bed trilogy right here because I like having this closer to the center. I forgot that the River of Silver is in hardback. Does this one come in paperback? Maybe I might just replace it. Okay, so this actually comes in paperback. So I'm going to unhaul this one, and then if I find it on Pango, I'll replace it. Not gonna be in any rush.
This was real. Can you tell me what you felt?
This is also a fantasy romance, so I don't know why it's on this shelf unless I don't have... Oh yeah, no, I know why it is. Because it's short. It's like a short book. And so there's no... I don't have any fantasy romances that are that size. So that's why it's over here. Pretending like it's a fantasy. Okay, I'm in the minority here, but I really liked this book. So it's staying. This is an Illumicrate edition and I just bought it, so that's going to stay. This is also a fantasy romance. Is it tall? Yeah, it's tall. I feel like this should either be with Sarah Al-Arafi's other book or in fantasy romance. I think what I've decided to do is I'm going to keep my paper, I'm going to try to keep this all paperback. I'm going to put the hardcover ones on the bottom because they are going to be a little bit more sturdy and so they won't rip or anything like that. Nobody's bad about like chewing on the books or anything like that. We don't have puppies at this point. But what does end up happening is that Doyle specifically, when he's sleeping, will like end up putting his paw on them. And so a paperback could rip. Alright, so I'm going to put the Terra Sim series. I read this one, I liked it. I still haven't read this one, but I am still intrigued by it, and so I want to keep it for now. I still need to start this. This is the only book that I own in that series. And then I think I'm going to get rid of this one. This one like showed up in a Pango box that like they were also giving away ARCs, and so I think I'm going to get rid of this one. I just don't see myself gravitating towards it. And this is a new book. We're moving down. I'm actually going to skip this one and go to the fantasy romances and see which ones I want to keep. I think most of them I will want to keep, except for I think I'm going to get rid of this because this is actually YA and I haven't heard great things about it. This one apparently I did read and I didn't like. I read it as an ARC, so but I bought it again not realizing that it was the same book. But I think now that it's A, a finished copy, and B, I'm a little bit more into fantasy romance, I'm going to reread it and see if I like it. Katie Robert books, the pirate ones, I gotta try them. I've only heard mixed things about it, but I gotta try it. My Alison Carr Rector books, listen, this is the only one in the series that I loved, but I'm still going to keep it. And then this is the first book in her next series. The audiobook is coming out next month, I believe, and so I'm going to try this one before I read any more of her stuff. Then my Dawn of Onyx books, or my, what is it called? Sacred Stones. This is 1 and 3. My 2 is on my TBR 2.0 cart, so I need to make room for it. Laura Thalassa, what do we think here? This is an old cover. I think I'm gonna unhaul this one because I've only heard mid things about it. But I'm gonna keep this one. This one sounds, this like series sounds more interesting. I'm gonna give this one a try. I know I didn't like the Jasmine Throne, but I'm gonna try this one. This is a new acquisition. This one I read, but I like it and it's annotated and fun. This is on my self-destruct list, I think. So do I self-destruct it a couple months early? Because I'm not gonna read it between now and the beginning of December. Because I've heard not great things about the sequel to it. Really want to read this one. Still want to read this one. This is the old Fear the Flames. I don't know if I should change it out for the new one, but it's a shelf trophy for right now. Oh, I'm trying to put these up here, aren't I? Well, listen, I wasn't thinking. New acquisitions. Really want to read this one, like, right now. Still want to read Blood and Steel. I need the rest of the series, and then this is a new edition. Let's move these up here.
It feels like it's over now. There's just too much pressure. There's just too much pressure. Nah, there's just too much.
I'm definitely doing this by size more than anything else.
There's just too much pressure. There's just too much. Why can't we just start this over?
Moving down to the bottom shelf, I do have some hardcovers that are over here as well, and then like what was on his. These bottom shelves are super unorganized, and I think it's probably what spurred my I need to do something about it. Fine, don't worry about it, okay? Oh, this is also a fantasy romance. Could this go up? No, we're just gonna keep it down here. It looks more like a fantasy. First Bright Thing, I haven't heard anything about this, but it's like historical fantasy, but at a circus. At some point, I will do a circus vlog, because I think I have 3 like circus-y fantasies. Book Eaters, I really want to read this one, even though this is also one of the 40 something that is on the shelf, like that have been here for so long. Then I have my short ones over here that were like sitting sideways. Should I keep them that way? I think I will, because I'll have more room down. This is a new book, or a new acquisition. This is a special edition. It was only a 3.5-star read, but it's got really pretty straight edges. So we're gonna keep it. We'll put both of the Makia Luciers together. Then a special edition of Dark Knight Golden Dawn. Did I need this? No, but I found it on Pango. This is a YA fantasy. I think I'm gonna unhaul this one. Like it made the top 20 of the Goodreads Choice Awards last year, and I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting, and then I found it for super cheap. Let's be honest, when am I going to read this? I am going to keep my 2 Olivia Blake books. I do need to try her again because I didn't love the Atlas 6. Now I'm going to find the other short hardcovers and put them here because I have way more room now. These are mostly part of series. Tiger at Midnight and The Archer at Dawn. Malice and Misrule. These are like Snow White fantasy romances. I really like this one. I didn't love this one, but they go together.
We just start this over. Why can't we just start this over? Why can't we just start this over?
You either get to see me or the shelf. So I've pulled all of the stuff from the corner. These are all like the random paperback fantasies that don't necessarily match or fit or anything like that. Some of them are series. Some of them within a series don't match. This, straight to jail. We're gonna take everything off. I am gonna keep the Jen Lyons series right now. Here's the thing. I read the first one 2 years ago, and then I never continued. Again, chunky books. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read this one, see if I like it, and if not, we're gonna unhaul the whole series. And I really want to do that before the end of the year. I'm going to keep this one, but I'm going to put it downstairs because the sequel keeps getting pushed back to the point where I will likely have to reread this book. I don't know that I love it enough to do that. However, I'm going to keep it for now. I'm going to get rid of these two because this author decided she wanted to be real problematic on Threads. Do authors not realize that we can see the stuff that they put on Threads? Because I think they think that it's so new, not just authors, people in general think that it's so new, not enough people are on there, that you can say stupid shit. And nobody will see it. But then it gets sent to Instagram and trust me, we take screenshots and we still send it to Twitter. Basically, it was like trashing other romantasy authors. So this happened 2 days ago. She's been called out by it multiple times and still hasn't deleted the it's not a tweet, a thread, whatever. She quote tweeted someone saying, I posted here a couple months back just about why there hasn't been renewed buzz around the Jacqueline Carey books with the romantasy trend. A lot of people agreed. And so she quote tweeted that, said, no shade. Okay, maybe a little, but if you've been raised on amuse bouches, a full 5-course feast, especially one redolent with unfamiliar spices, might seem overwhelming. What is she trying to say to other romantasy authors? Romantasy readers? Absolutely not. Penn Cole, the author of Spark of the Everflame, had like the greatest response. This is sad to see. So many romantasy authors look up to you and credit you with first making them fall in love with the genre. It's a shame that in women-dominated fields, people try to pit us up against each other. Would love to see us all uplifting each other instead. She replied to that, basically saying, dry wit doesn't always fare well on the internet. I wasn't trying to drag anyone down. I do not have the vibe of Threads yet. Okay, but you've been called out, so like, take it down. Take it down. So, bye. There's enough books on my shelf. I don't need to waste my time with problematic authors. These I've read before. I want to reread them at some point, but I'm going to keep them for now. And then these are on my 44 books that I need to read. Another series that like I want to like. They seem like they're going to be interesting. They are YA, but they're like steampunk, and I've liked that lately. So maybe I need to do a vlog where like I try to continue series, and then if I don't like them I can unhaul the whole series, because that will really help me get down below 200.
Why can't we just start this over? Why can't we just start this?
Another series that I need to just continue on to see if I want to. I've read the first one twice now. Another completed series I have not started. That's another one that's on my 44 books. Now we're just kind of doing it by size, I think. No, that's not. Okay, now we're mostly short. This is a series that I still do want to read. Second edition of Library of the Unwritten. Do I need to keep this one? It's not on my TBR, so. This one I think I'm gonna unhaul. I've had it for a really long time, and I don't necessarily want to read it. It might be a book that I give to Derek, but I'm going to take it off of my TBR number. Okay, and then I'm going to put these at the very end. I have a couple more short fantasy romance books, so I'm going to put those on the other shelf over here, which means that I can put... This is a fantasy romance too, so that's what we're going to do. We're going backwards, but we're going to go back up this side of the shelf, because I'm not going to get rid of anything else in these two in the center shelf, because we have our favorite shelf, which is like where I stand to do my videos. It's like the backdrop, and then the special editions and the fantasy romance, and I've recently culled those. This is a weird shelf, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna probably move these. The ones in the corner are my Star Wars books, and then a random sci-fi, but like I also have sci-fi over there, so I think I'm gonna move these down here, because most of these are Star Wars, because I think the only one that's not is Heart of Iron, and I'm gonna get rid of this. I got this for Amazing Readathon because it would have fulfilled some prompts. So I was like, if I was on Sci-Fi during that prompt, this is a queer author, and I wasn't on Sci-Fi. So I'm just gonna get rid of it. And then everything else is a Star Wars book. So I could put those down here with my other, like, cause like my fantasy romance only took like a tiny little bit. You can't see it. These are all relatively new. I got them at the like end of year sale. I think I'm gonna get rid of Ahsoka. I read this last year, question mark. I don't know, it's been a while. For my Star Wars video. I don't need to keep it, but I am going to keep both of these because I really liked this one and this is the sequel. Now let's move up to the horror. This is another one that's like kind of messy, but it's just the way that it worked. I have some horror here, then my indie fantasy shelf, and then more the horror, but it's just Darcy Goats. But I wanted it, like, I wanted to be able to have like different places to film things. So if I was talking about horror, then I wanted to be able to stand there. It's a whole thing, okay? It's how my brain works. I think I'm gonna get rid of Ghost Station. I liked this, but here's my problem. These are her 2 books, and they're different sizes. I'm gonna keep my 2 Tiffany D. Jackson books. I really like those. This is on a self-destruct book list, and I don't think I'm gonna read it because I would have needed to read it in October and I don't have time. Definitely keeping Chuck Tingle. I'm gonna keep this one for now. I've heard very mixed things about it, but I'm still interested. I'm gonna keep The Honeys, and then I think I'm gonna get rid of Year of the Witching. This is a historical horror, and I've heard good things about it, but it's just not calling to me. But I am going to keep this one for now. I like this one. That leaves a lot of room over here. Moving up a shelf. I want to keep this, I like this enough. This one, so Cackle, is the only one that I own that I haven't read from her yet. And I'm worried because I didn't love So Thirsty. Like, it was fine. It was a fun time, but it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. And I'm worried that this one's going to be kind of the same. I'm going to keep it for now because I have heard people like this that didn't like So Thirsty. I'm gonna keep it for now. I'm not confident it will make another spooky season. I think I'm gonna get rid of Hollow Kingdom. I have no desire to continue this series. Like, I think it ended fine. I'm gonna keep this one for now. I don't know that I'm gonna love it, but I'm gonna keep it for now. This is new. I just read that. I liked it. I liked that. This is new. Random ones over here. This has been on my shelf for so long. This is a ARC for BEA 2019. That's when I got it. I'm still like drawn to it. It's just so big. This is more of like a mystery, but it sounds interesting, so I'm gonna keep it for now. I really liked Starling House. I'm leaving it on the horror shelf. I think it's more horror than it is fantasy. And I think I'm gonna get rid of this as well. This isn't necessarily like on my TBR number, but it's not like a pretty edition or anything like that. And I have 1 or 2 more books that'll go on this shelf once I haul them. I'm just not touching that right now. Okay, quick look over at my indie shelf. Most of it looks pretty good. I don't usually buy indie books unless I really am excited about them, but I did read this one and it was only 3.5 stars, so I'm gonna get rid of this one. And then I need to remember to put this one on here. I think I'm also gonna get rid of this. I read about half of it and I DNF'd it, and so I'm gonna get rid of this one. Everything fell, but this one was sent to me for like just an Instagram picture. I didn't promise a review, and it doesn't sound like something I really love, so it's like prehistoric almost. Half-Blood. This needs to find a new home. Probably on that hardcover shelf. This was a Polycon book, but it's her YA series, I think. And then I have a Fall of Ruin and Wrath that needs to go over by the fantasy romances. I'm gonna find a spot for it. This is what I mean by the bottom being disorganized. I'm gonna put it up on this top shelf. I'm actually not gonna show you that one because it's very top, but it's really just Leigh Bardugo and then a couple of other short YA series, and so they'll fit. Okay, so we've got our Tiago Abdallah books. Definitely want to keep that. Tethered Spirit. I need to continue this series, but I have not. But the second one's on KO. But it's just, I knew that was going to happen. I need to continue this series. It's also on KO. I'm going to keep this one. This is one that I read last year for Spiffbo. This was the winner of Spiffbo last year. Not a Spiffbo book, but it is Olivia Atwater's novella. It's a recent acquisition. I don't have a copy of the physical book that I nominated for my semifinalist this year, so we're going to put this one face out. Because that was my semifinalist last year. And then I'll put the other non-Spiffbo books on the other side of it. These ones are actually technically fantasy romance, but they're taller than them, and they actually look like they have fantasy covers. So I'm going to keep them over here. All right, let's move over here. I I did not take anything down from the top 3 shelves of the big shelves. The one is literally just Darcy Coates, and I want to own all of her books. And then I have more of a display shelf with my Afterlight books, and then, like I said, my Leave Our Nickos, which I'm not getting rid of. Let's come over here. I'm gonna kind of chat through my process. So these are just like the 4 box shelves that I have. This is like a really old bookshelf that is also kind of a table from my chair here. I've cleared off everything except for one cube, which is John Mars and Frida McFadden. I think I'm probably going to split those, and so I'll put John Mars in one and Frida McFadden in another, because I'm going to be collecting more of their books. And then in my closet I had a few other random thrillers, and so I think I'm also going to put them down here. I have one display shelf of paperback thrillers, but especially with the fall decor right now, there's a very small number of books I can put on there. But I don't think, I'm trying to think of like looking at my haul cart. The only things that would need to go on here are 2 Frida McFadden books, because one of them's on my TBR 2.0 and one of them I just hauled. I think I'll just put these, like my random paperbacks, on the bottom part of these cubes. I still want to read this. That's more mystery than thriller. This one I think is more sci-fi than thriller, but we're going to put it on here anyway. This is true crime. And then a Geneva Rose that I just recently picked up, and an Alyssa Cole that I recently picked up. Okay, let's move over to sci-fi. I don't think I want to get rid of anything here. I will probably be getting rid of Iron Widow, but I'm going to wait until, just to make sure that I can get the Illumicrate editions that are coming. So you can't see it, but the top sci-fi shelf are books I have read, and then this is ones I haven't read, and then this is kind of a mixture of both. So let's look at these ones I have not read yet. I think most of them I still want to read. This one has been on my TBR for 2 years. It was in my 2023, December of 2022, that I think I got it. But it's short stories, and I don't know if I don't know. For now, it'll probably end up on the self-destruct list. Kind of forces me to look at it. I think I'm gonna get rid of this one. This one actually I think is more literary than it is sci-fi. I thought it would be more dystopian, but reviews are making it seem more literary. This one, I'm very hesitant. Plays with time. That's a buzzword for me, so we're gonna keep it for now. But I'm gonna move it because these Book of the Month books are taller than everything else. Aardvark books are slightly smaller than everybody else. Down here, this is kind of hit or miss. I do want to read this. Now that the boycott is over, I can fit it into something. This one I'm going to keep for now. It's got our fantasy that I still need to complete. I read this. I'm going to keep that one. I really like it for now. I'm going to keep this for now, even though it's a standalone, and I don't know that I'll ever read it again. But I think I'm going to get rid of this. I read it and I liked it, but I'm not going to reread it. I'm going to keep this. I just got this, but I'm going to move it up here because there's more room. The Blood Gift duology I'm going to keep. Gideon I'm going to keep for right now. I think I'm going to get rid of Skyward. I don't think I'm going to continue this series. I just don't. And then I'm going to keep the Everina Maxwell books. Moving up here, I'm just going to kind of chat through this rather than moving the camera. Top shelf is all thrillers that I've read. I think I'm going to get rid of the Book of the Month books of these because I have the paperback in dark matter and it's a little bit less obnoxiously yellow because I think the paperback is gray. Next one down is thrillers that I have not read before. Most of them are pretty new or I have projects for them, so I'm going to keep those. These ones are all ones that I've read before and absolutely love. Plus Riley Sager. Not every Riley Sager I've loved, but all of those. And then like the Silent Pages, No Exit. All right, now the last 2 shelves here are my YA, and I think I might just get rid of everything because they're YA contemporary, and I'm not like, maybe I'll keep the ones that I have a connection to and just move. I mean, they'll just stay in this bottom shelf. But it's going to be more of like a personal thing. I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm going to keep Check and Mate, but I'm going to actually move it over to the romance shelf because there's room over there and it'll just kind of fit in with the romance. Same with this one. I have a really strong emotional connection to it, but I can put it on the romance shelf. Even though it's technically a contemporary, we're going to put it on the romance shelf because it's orange and it'll fit right in. I'm going to keep this one, but I'll put it down here. I'm going to get rid of Clap When You Land. I mean, there's like literally dust on here. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars, but I'm not going to reread it. And if I did, I would listen to it on audio. Wouldn't it be better if these were somewhere that like someone else could read them and love them? This one I'm gonna keep. I'm gonna get rid of these. I did reread this over like right before Amazing Readathon, and then I was going to continue on with this. This is on the self-destruct list, but I don't want to read it. I've just thought it's like historical fiction right now.
My stacks are literally falling over.
I'm gonna get rid of this one. I'm gonna get rid of this. I did read that. This one I have a really strong connection to. This one I have a really strong connection to. This is Talia. I'm gonna keep this one, but we'll just keep one shelf of young adults. And then they're all books that I've already read. I just counted. Somehow my math was off in my last book haul, which happens. It always happens, which is why I do the things at the end of the year with like my physical TBR. So let's talk about some numbers because I cleared off some good stuff. So I unhauled 79 books, and I'm not going to go over all of them, but they are all going to be listed in my Pango. So if you are from the US and you use Pango, they're all there. My patrons do get access to this video early, so they may not all be there. And also, if you are new to Pango and you have not used it, you can use the code 4PAUSE and you'll get $5 off of your first order. But I unhauled 79 books, 40 of those being ones I haven't read yet, but my physical TBR number is 219. So somehow the math didn't work. But 219 is a really good, I physically went and counted every book. That includes the books that I've read in October. So I don't know why there would be a discrepancy there, but there is. But 219 is a really good number for having 2.5 months left in the year. I think we can knock this out. Anyways, thanks for coming along as I ramble and talk about books and getting rid of them and reorganizing. Listen, my brain just decided to do this today. If you want to watch another redecoration, reorganization, because I do these a lot, I'll have one linked right here. You can go ahead and watch that. And if you're new here and you have not yet subscribed, there's a little button that you can do so down below the video. If you'd like to hang out with me more, the links to my Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter, and my Patreon are linked in the description below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you later. Bye.